Welcome to Business Uncut. My name is Chanel and I am the partner and CFO of New Wave Accounting, and today I'm joined by Anna, our practice manager. Today we are going to be talking about 30-hour work week and how we've implemented it into our workplace. This is actually an idea that Anna came up with and presented to myself and Ruben for our offshore team last year. So today we're just going to run through the benefits, how we implemented it, and some important things to factor in when you're considering whether it will work for your business. Then we're going to delve into a little bit around offshoring and how we actually utilize our offshore team. So yeah, we'll get started. So first up, Anna, how did you come across the concept of 30-hour work week?
I was listening to a podcast and they were talking about a study from the Employment Research Centre in Sweden. They spoke about how after 6 weeks of work, productivity really declines. And I could really relate to that because all my best work is done in the morning, and in the afternoons, I really struggle to get deep work done. Initially, I didn't really do anything about it. I just thought, oh well, hopefully one day we can do this in Australia. We then started having some issues with our offshore team. I was in the shower and I just had a light bulb moment. I thought, can we make this work? Can we test it out? How much impact will it have on the business if 10 employees all of a sudden started working 8 hours less a week? So I got to plotting.
Okay, awesome. And can we just quickly go over what issues we were actually having with our offshore team? Then we can go into the reasons why.
Okay. We were having some issues with staff retention, and sick days were really high. Some of our team had almost capped out on all of their sick days, and it was only the first quarter of the financial year, so this was pretty concerning for us. For those people that don't know, our offshore team is in the Philippines. Our office is in Manila, and we work off a hybrid setup, so our team goes into the office for 2 days a week and then they work from home for the rest of the week. Some people, when they travel to the office, it's actually a 4-hour commute, and that's just one way. They did speak to us about this when we were visiting the year before, and we were shocked. We tried to brainstorm ideas, like, is there a way we can fix this? Can we hire a private bus company? Would it make it quicker? In the end, we couldn't really help, and how much money can you really throw at a problem that's like metro-wide Philippines?
I think the major issue was there's just so much traffic in the Philippines.
Exactly.
Unless we flew in a helicopter or something like that, which is out of the question, obviously. There was no way to really get around that traffic issue. We had already implemented flexi time, so starting earlier on in the day to try and alleviate that a little bit, but it's still wouldn't make a massive difference because by the time they were finishing in the day, they were still going to be stuck in traffic. I think the big thing as well for them was that we would always be like, oh, so what are you doing on the weekend? And they'd be like, we're sleeping.
Yeah, exactly.
we were like, why are you sleeping your whole weekend? And it was purely because they're traveling so much. They're so tired from the week. So
well, imagine traveling 6 to 8 hours a day to get to work. Of course you're going to be tired, and to be honest, of course you would want to take a sick day here and there just to catch up on life, really, to spend some time with your family, to sleep, so then on the weekend you can actually go and do something. I think the mindset for a long time was, well, that's just how it is in the Philippines.
Exactly.
We can't build new infrastructure. We don't have the money for that, nor do we have any say in the government, but can we change a few people's lives? So
I think a big thing as well is we actually implemented that they could be paid out their sick leave days. Over in the Philippines, it's not actually standard that they get allocated sick leave and annual leave like we do here. So we tried to bring in that benefit to hopefully incentivize them to not utilize all of their sick days as much. But even that wasn't enough. They were still just like, no, we're still utilizing them. So then we moved on to 30-hour work week. So what did we have to work through exactly to be able to present this idea? Well, what did you have to work through, Anna, to present the idea through to Ruben and myself?
So I did keep the idea secret because I didn't want to just bring up the idea. I actually just wanted to present it with all the figures. So for those listening, we are a service-based business. We work off billable hours. We need labor to make money. So people doing work equals us getting paid. Our offshore team at the time were working off an 85% productivity target, which means that for 8 hours of the day, 6.8 hours has to be billable. If we were to reduce the working hours to 6 hours a day, that means 85%, 6 hours per day, 85% billable. You can understand the business would make a considerable amount of money less per year. So I had a look at how we came to the 85% productivity target and made some slight changes, reduced some internal meetings. I had to update some of the yearly events to be outside of working hours, like the end of financial year. Sometimes we would take a half day to do that, but we can just do that outside of work hours. It's pretty standard anyway. So because of that, we were able to bring the productivity percentage to 92%, which is 5.5 hours billable per day, still lower than 6.8. So yes, we had to reduce the firm budgets, and yes, the business would make less. But I will talk about the non-monetary benefits to the business and to the employees. But for those wondering, yes, we kept wages the same.
Yes, we did.
Our staff are still considered full-time employees, but we just want them to work less. That's the main goal here. So I rejigged the firm budgets and threw together a presentation in Canva, and then presented the idea to Chanel and Ruben, basically asking them to take a hit in profits. So it was a bit nerve-wracking.
It's a very bold thing that Anna did, presenting it to us, but we did really just have to sit there and weigh up, whether we wanted to really work on the staff retention over on the Philippines side, whether we wanted to do something out of the box to make a big change, because everything that we had done prior was obviously not working. So in the end we obviously did agree and say yes, even though we were going to take a little bit of a hit net profit wise. In the long run, I think it's definitely benefited because through having so much more stuff, so many more positive things in terms of the staff retention and things like that. So it's been good. And in terms of your key selling points when you were presenting it to Ruben and I, what were your key things?
Okay, so obviously our staff would have a better quality of life. If you're working less, you get to spend more time with your family. Also, they would be commuting back home in less congested hours, which means their commute time home is actually quicker. We would be able to attract new staff. I looked it up and I couldn't find any other firm in the Philippines doing this, so this would be like a great attraction for staff, great PR. And we would be able to retain existing staff. So something I've noticed that if the working conditions are favourable for an employee, they're more inclined to come and talk to you if they are thinking about leaving, or maybe they have a higher salary offer from another firm, and if they like working 30 hours a week and we have other perks, they're going to come and talk to us and say, like, this is what I have. Whereas in the past, or, here's my resignation, and
we weren't really given the chance to even have a discussion with them around like how we could improve things or anything like that. But I think when you have like the peak benefits that you can offer basically over there, because we try and basically mirror everything that we do in the Oz office, we do in the Philippines office. So we do try and offer a lot of benefits to the team over there. So hopefully we're competitive against.
Exactly. I mean, sometimes it's not always possible to match someone's offer or what they're given, but at least we have opportunities there for us. And to be the leaders in the work-life balance space, this is such a big topic in the corporate world right now. So to be able to have this opportunity to, test it out with our offshore team is amazing.
Yeah, and I think the culture is a little bit different over in the Philippines as well. They don't have so much of a really work hard, go hard mentality like we do here in the Oz office. So having that balance is super important over there.
Yeah, I agree.
Excellent. So, yes, we said yes to this. What were the steps that we then took in implementing this and sort of putting it out to the whole team?
This is quite interesting because we brought the team together for an online meeting and presented them the idea with the increased productivity and the slightly reduced budgets. I had the assumption that everyone would just amazing, thank you so much, so good, because as you can imagine, like, I just
anyone would love that, like
yeah.
a reduced amount of hours that you have to work in a week.
100%. But the team at that time were under pressure for the budgets already, and they just thought with the increased productivity, they just didn't think that they would be able to make those budgets. So that was a little bit like of a shock to me, but it was good to get their feedback and to see how we could work with them. So from there, we just assured them, like, yes, this can be done, and we are going to work with you to get there. So the main thing was having a look at all their current non-chargeable time and how they plan their day out, how they look through their inbox. So I sat with them, I had an online meeting with each employee for a week to see how their morning looked like and to see if we can make it more efficient, and we could. Everyone's super happy, and
it's been really good.
We also touched base with everyone regularly and monitored it as we would. So
because when we initially brought it in as well, we actually brought it in as a trial. And we had like a trial period so that we had the ability, if it really didn't work and we didn't see improvements in anything, we then could go back and say, look, it's not working. We will have to go back to the normal 38-hour work week, basically. But in terms of what we saw with output, like budgets and things like that, there was no dramatic drop at all even though they were working less time. So really, it was all of that, what we call non-chargeable time, which is things like training, internal meetings, what else, like just general. We could have like internal events.
We had like birthday cakes as well.
Cakes that they were taking extra time for and things like that. It's really just cutting down on those things and making sure that everything that we have is actually is valid.
Exactly.
Basically.
And I do know there are some employees that do stay back an hour every now and then, which is normal anyway, but at least you have the option after 6 hours you can you can go home.
They're not required. So and so in terms of feedback from the Philippines team, what have you seen since implementing this?
So it's funny, I actually messaged them all this morning just to let them know we were doing a podcast, and I just said, hey guys, just confirming you are all still loving it, because I didn't want to come on here and tell fibs, but they know they are loving it. They spend more time with their family. I know some of them actually stay after working hours just to hang out with each other, like go for lunches. So it's really nice to see. And yes, sick days have reduced significantly, and they're meeting their targets, as we mentioned. So everyone's super happy. When we interview new stuff, like when we interview candidates and we tell them about this, their eyes just light up. I can just see it. And then some people don't understand.
They're like, why?
Why? Like, will I be paid less? So we're like, no, we just want you to work less. And there is a bit of a culture in the Philippines. When you work for a local company, they really want like you to work 45 hours a week plus overtime, and
especially in the accounting space, particularly in audit. We've had a lot of staff sort of come from the audit sector, and they've come from working those really, really long hours, and they just haven't enjoyed it at all. You end up getting to a point where they just get really burnt out, and that's the reason when then they want to change. So well, it's 2024. People are realizing how important a work-life balance really is to your mental health. It's not it's just not doable these days. Okay, so let's have a chat about why we can't implement this in our Oz office at the moment.
I'd love to chat about this, because I would want this for myself. I'm sure you would too. Well, let me just start off by saying because the Australian team hadn't been over to the Philippines, a lot of them hadn't been to the Philippines. They didn't quite understand, their travel times and just their way of life. So what we did is we presented it to the Australian team and just let them know like what it's like over there. And then just let them know that the team in the Philippines will be working 30 hours a week. And everyone was really happy for them. There was no jealousy or anything like that. And the majority of our staff are accountants, so they can definitely understand why it would affect the bottom line of the business if we were to just put all the staff on a 30-hour work week. So our offshore team works on like highly efficient tasks because they don't have any client interaction, whereas the Australian team, they have a lot of client interaction.
Yeah.
It's our main part of our business. They do a lot of follow-ups, training, nurturing client relationships, developing new client relationships, trying to find new business. All of these activities are really, really important for the business and for maintaining like the quality of the client experience. But most of the times they're just not chargeable. We can't bill for these activities. The client managers work on about a 50% productivity. So it's 50% of their time is chargeable. If we were to reduce their hours down to 6 hours a day and keep that productivity percentage, you can understand it's a massive effect. Yeah. And if we were to increase their productivity percentage like we did with the Philippines, it would take a big hit on the client experience. The clients just wouldn't get the same experience that they're getting now unless we started charging for every little thing that we did. So overall the revenue would decrease significantly. And that's just it, really.
I think the big thing as well is the actual availability for the clients. If we were to do that in the Oz office, because a lot of our team are client facing, we have to be available for phone calls and meetings, particularly like right now we have tax planning going on. If we were to reduce the hours down to a 30 hour work week, it would make it very difficult to be able to squeeze all the meetings that we need to for all the clients, also be available for phone calls and those sorts of things as well. As it is at the moment with our firm, we do finish early on a Friday, 2 p.m. on a Friday, which clients had no issue with when we swapped that over, but to reduce the days down even further, it would just make it really difficult. And we do want to make sure that obviously we are still putting clients first and being available for them when they're needing us. So
exactly. I am confident that one day with the power of AI and automation, we can implement a 30-hour work week. I know there will be a crossroads, and it'll be an interesting time in the world when businesses come to that point where they realize they don't need as many staff, so they'll probably think, okay, maybe we get rid of some humans that we've hired and keep a couple, but keep them working the same hours, and our profits will go up. Or we can reduce how much time people are working and give them something that they can't buy, which is time, such a valuable commodity. And
with that, work-life balance being such a big thing, I don't think that's going to change at all.
No,
So I think potentially there will be more organisations that head towards this.
Definitely.
This way. So fingers
Hopefully,
crossed. We can hopefully make it work somehow.
For sure.
Some point, because we would love to be able to do everything that we do for the Phil team here in the Oz office as well,
of course.
And have everyone sort of the same within the workplace. But we'll see how we go.
One day.
Hopefully. Okay, so now we will move on to just having a bit of a chat around how we currently utilise our offshore team. Currently we have offshore team members based in the Philippines across all of our divisions. So that's New Wave Insurance, New Wave Financial Planning and New Wave Accounting. And we've had a team over there for over 5 years now. So we've just been learning along the way, really. We've been lucky in the sense that Ruben is from the Philippines. Well, his family is from the Philippines, so we at least have that connection there, and it's helped a little bit, especially in terms of just, learning everything, learning the culture, having the ability to go over there. Those sorts of things has helped out a little bit. But let's firstly just run through how we currently utilise our offshore team. So at the moment, we have accountants, bookkeepers, and admin staff over in the Philippines. And for New Wave Financial Planning and Insurance, they also have admin and paraplanners over there.
And we also have Jenna, our practice manager, who is just an absolute champion. And
she is, and she's sort of grown with over the years into that role, which has been really great to see. But in terms of how we sort of got started over there and how we started utilizing them, really we first started with the accountants mainly, and getting them to help with like a little bit of the compliance.
And you didn't initially have an office over there. I'm pretty sure when I started there was no office.
We didn't. So we had everyone working from home within those first few that we sort of hired, and we didn't organise to set up an office or anything there, because it was just, they were purely just contracting to us from home. But that is something that I know a lot of people worry about, the security and quality issues, and some things that we've definitely worked on over the years is implementing like certain software and things like that to try and reduce the risk of that. Can you just run through some of the software that we've implemented to make sure that we're sort of covering off on the security side of things?
Yeah, of course. So we use Practice Protect. Some people might know a program called LastPass, which you can store your password. Practice Protect does work with accounting firms. I mean, you could use it for any business, but they're more so centered for accounting firms. And you basically store all your passwords in there, but also what it gives you the ability to is, let's say a staff member was to leave, or you're suspicious of a staff member, instead of going through, just to rewind a little bit, we're fully cloud-based.
Yes.
So we have a lot of softwares and applications. So with Practice Protect, if something was to happen, it's just one click of a button. And you can also do a bit of tracking of, when everyone logged in and from where as well. You can also put geo-locking so that someone from another country other than the countries that you've allocated cannot log in. I know one time when we were going to the Philippines, we said, we'd be in Australia and the Philippines. When we tried to work from Singapore,
we couldn't let us in.
Exactly. Which also helps if staff members, say they're working from home and decide to go on a holiday to the Caribbean.
Hasn't happened yet.
No. But we will know. We do let our staff work remotely, but it would be good to let us know, of course.
Of course, And the good thing about Practice Protect is we can literally just lock someone out like instantly if we have any suspicion or anything like that. We have in the past as well utilized monitoring software. Do you just want to run through that as well?
So we have used a monitoring software in the past where it basically just records everything. You can log in and see exactly what a staff member is doing at the time. When we implemented this, it
wasn't received the best from the Philippines team, which I can understand.
100%.
If you're telling someone that you're monitoring every single move that they're doing, it's screen recording them basically the whole time. It doesn't place it. I think it doesn't place a lot of trust in there. But there's definitely software applications out there that if you were worried about anyone's performance or whether they were doing what they were saying they were doing, a little bit different for the accounting space because we require everyone to do timesheets, so it's a little bit hard if you're not hitting targets, you're doing your timesheet. It's very easy for us to monitor when someone isn't performing. But if you were in a business where it wasn't so monitored like that, definitely I would consider a software like TerraMind or something like that.
And I would even recommend it if you want to, when a new employee comes on, especially if they're 100% work from home, to just do it for a couple of months just to gain that trust and just let them know, once you finish probation, like, we're happy to take this off. We initially did take it off for our staff. Well, everything was improving anyway. Also the cost as well is something you have to factor. As I mentioned, we are cloud-based, which means everything that we use comes with the price. So once metrics were going up and everyone was happier, we were happy to take that off.
We didn't have any issues around that.
No.
And then in terms of like the quality of work itself, so do you just want to run through how we currently have the team structured? Because that's something that we've really worked on throughout the years. Initially, we started really utilizing our Philippines team a little bit differently to how we're doing it now. We were sort of just really utilizing them as an offshore team, sort of sending them jobs to do. They weren't fully integrated like within our teams. And we've made changes to that since, which we've seen has made a real difference.
And the issues when they're not fully integrated with the team is they miss out on a lot of really important information. So what we do now is, they're in all of our team meetings. They are a part of the team. We don't consider them
an offshore
team. No, they're
the New Wave team.
Exactly, and then each team has a few accountants, some in the Australian office, some in the Philippines, and they all have a supervisor as well, and then usually like an assistant client manager or a client manager. The supervisor reviews all of their work, and the client manager also does a handover of the file as well. So if we're getting the Philippines team to work on a tax job, the client manager will run through all of the notes, let them know what needs to be done, and then the Philippines team, or even the Australian team, will get their supervisor to check over that work, make sure the quality's there, make sure they get the necessary training if they aren't really familiar with what they're working on. Maybe they come across a Division 7A loan that they've never had experience with before. And we just really make sure that the training is up there. We do also have regular monthly training. For example, it's fringe benefits tax preparation time at the moment, so we make sure we do a training with that uploaded to our learning centre as well, so that everyone can refer back to it as well. Or when you go to actually prepare the job, you have a video to refer back to.
Yeah, and in terms of our team structures, we do have basically at the moment 4 teams where we have 4 client managers that are all AU based here in the Gold Coast office, and they all each manage a set of clients. So we have basically a team for each set of clients. So every single job that in terms of the tax compliance and things like that is always going to final review with our AU manager to make sure that they're having that final check to really alleviate any sort of quality issues or anything being missed. I think our the software that we use as well, in terms of we use a platform called Carbon, which has been game changing as well, I think. We originally were using a software application called Asana, and we made the move to Carbon just so we could really have that visibility over everything, and basically everyone has access to view as well all of the client information, so hopefully nothing can get missed in terms of emails and correspondence and things that come throughout the year. It is hard to stay on top of everything.
Everything that happens with the client in a year. Yeah,
exactly. So in terms of the main reasons why we implemented our offshore team outside the obvious one, which is the fact that obviously it's reduced overhead costs having a team over in the Philippines. But do you want to run through some of the other reasons why we do like to have an offshore team as well?
So it just allows our Australian team to focus on high value work, advisory for our clients, really getting to meet the clients and helping them understand their figures. If we just had the whole team in the Australian office just working on tax and compliance, it wouldn't really leave us with much room to offer these advisory services. It's one thing to say, yes, we can do advisory services, but do we actually have the capacity for this? So having an offshore team allows us to have more capacity to do other services for clients as well.
Definitely. And it's more of those value-added services and being really available for the client to be able to answer any questions that they're needing in terms of business growth and things like that, things that is actually going to help the business grow rather than just the boring tax and compliance stuff that has to be done. We know it's got to be done and it's got to be done right. But we feel like we can offer a service that can far outweigh that benefit basically with the advisory side of things where hopefully the clients get a lot of value
exactly. And as the Philippines team grow as well, at the whole 30-hour work week was to retain employees. So we don't just want them doing only tax and compliance. As the firm grows and as they grow as well, we teach them advisory and tax planning and all of those things, so they don't get bored because they're people too.
Exactly. It's like any normal staff member, like anyone, they always want to grow within their role.
And learn more. So
and then the other main reason why we have an offshore team is because throughout COVID there was actually a massive shortage in accountants. Staff in general, there seemed to be a lot of accountants leaving the industry, either not going overseas, going internal, or just dropping out of accounting space in general, because it was actually a really stressful time with JobKeeper and all the things.
No one wants to be a public practice accountant anymore.
Everyone's just nah, it's too hard. There's too many changing things with the ATO, all these things forever changing. So we found that it was really difficult to actually find experienced staff within Australia, which is another reason why we concentrated on building our offshore team, so that we would have that we would have more of a pool of candidates basically to work through to hopefully help with the workload that we have.
Exactly, and I always say, I had a friend with a construction business and he's like, well, I could never have an offshore team. I'm like, well, you can have an administration person in the Philippines. As obviously you can't have builders in the Philippines, but there are other roles that I would say most businesses will be able to like hire an offshore team for
Exactly.
at least one role.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. And like we said, like you don't have to have an office over there or anything like we do at the moment. You can just start out with having one person contract
Yeah.
to you. There's websites like Online Jobs PH that you can list your ads up.
Yeah.
Go through the same sort of interview process as
Exactly.
you would normally. Obviously everything's got to be done by via camera or web meeting, but it's the exact same, and you will find they are just such lovely people.
Yeah.
In general, like they're all really happy and just really grateful, and
they're very respectful as well.
They are, yeah.
It was a little bit hard to break that barrier at first, you know, like sir, ma'am. It's like you don't have to call me ma'am. Like,
exactly. It's like it's weird for us.
We can be friends.
Exactly.
It's like that old school mentality where, you know, you don't leave until the boss leaves. Or remember when we were over there and like, why are you guys still here?
Why are you leaving?
Because we hadn't left yet.
Exactly.
But there are like companies that you can hire over there that will do all the hiring for you.
Yeah.
Even do the training in some instances, depending on the tier that you want to pay them. So there are many options, and it doesn't have to be in the Philippines as well.
No, there's India, all over.
For us, it works in the Philippines because of the time zones. I do know some people that have hired offshore in India, which is great as well. But it just depends the time that they wake up and the time that they can be available to you. Yeah. As you can understand, if you're running a business and you're working, you know, 8 to 5, and your team doesn't start till 2 p.m. that can cause some issues. You're waiting on work, you're trying to communicate it.
Exactly,
So you just have to figure out. Client-facing
work. And in terms of, I think it's really important as well to make sure that you really do put an effort into building a relationship with them. I think that makes such a difference. We try and go over there on a quarterly basis, and we take some of the team over there. We actually put an application process out to the team. To
the Australian
team to put forward what they would like to train the Philippines team on. And whoever is successful in that, we will take them over there so that they can meet the team and get to know them as well, see the way that they live, and also run through some training face to face with them, which the Philippines team love as well. So I think it's making an effort to really build a relationship both with yourself and the whole team is super important.
The feedback has always been positive. Every time staff members go over there, they're like, well, because at the end of the day with online meetings, you can get to know a person, but when you are actually in person with them, it's so much different. I think.
Because we hang out with them at lunch and everything, are able to have like normal chat. They take us and like show us like all the different foods that they eat like down at lunch and everything, which you don't get that when you're here in the Oz office. You're never able to see that sort of
it's
thing,
like, you know, how was your weekend and things like that. But so it's been good. I think that's probably everything that we have to discuss today. So we'll probably wrap it up there. Thanks everyone for listening. Hopefully you will get some value out of what we've spoken about today. Let us know if you want to implement a 30-hour work week.
Thanks guys.